This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're about to begin our meeting. Do we have any volunteers on the prayer?
Thank you, Lord, for bringing us together again this morning. The blessings of just being here as a board. Thank you for allowing us to be here and do the work of the county. We just ask your blessings upon our efforts. We just ask you be with our community, Lord, those that are dealing with sickness and afflictions, those that have lost loved ones, the bereaved. We just pray that you'd be with those during this time and that you clear our minds and let us work with this agenda this morning that we have and do the work for the people. Forgive us where we fail you. Us in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Let's all stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. We have before you a proposal agenda. What's the pleasure of the board?
Any additions?
Make a motion that we accept.
Second.
Okay, there's been motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands? That motion carried. Our old minutes were mailed and emailed to everybody. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move we adopt as recorded.
Accept.
I'd like to make one change.
That change has been made. From what got sent out, they indicated that Commissioner Mixon was in attendance at the meeting. He was not in attendance at the meeting, so that's been corrected.
I saw you over there.
Mine played tricks.
Okay, so that got the discussion part of it, of the motion. So all in favor by the show of hands? That motion carries. All right, Mr. Steve.
All right. Well, since Don's here, we'll skip, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, we'll skip down to number 16. Come on up, Don. Number 16 on the agenda. Let me get to that on the screen here. First thing, the new ambulance has been delivered and is
ready
in service.
Not yet. Radios were put in it yesterday. We're moving the equipment over today and the weekend. And if we get everything moved over today and Friday, they'll inspect it Friday, if not Monday. One of the two. State has to give their little check before we can put it in service. So either Friday or Monday. Depends on how quick we get everything moved over. But they did get all the radios and stuff moved over yesterday.
You're taking one out of service?
That's what we're discussing today. Yeah. So I would like to take as y'all know, we have 2 box trucks and 2 vans. So the 2018 Ford Transit ambulance, we've hit a couple of deer in that ambulance over the years of having that. And we have an electrical issue that we cannot find. It's killing the battery. If you crank it every day, it's fine. It sits there over a day or two, then it kills that battery. We've had to put several batteries in it because of these issues over the past year or so. And so I'm asking that we take that truck out of service. The 2012, even though it's got the highest mileage and the oldest, it is a box ambulance, one of the big square boxes, and that motor's still in good shape. So it is actually, that 2012 truck's actually being operated out of every day right now. So structural wise, it's still in good shape. I know it's got high mileage on it, but I think the best decision is to take the 2018 and go ahead and put it on govsdeal.com and let somebody else have that responsibility. So, also, the van ambulances are having some surging issues, which is a motor issue with Ford. They're aware of it. They just won't recall them back. So once you hit about 75, 80 miles an hour in these these vans, they'll start surging a little bit. We've had them looked at to fix the problem is around $3,500, and that's not a guarantee. That's just redoing the injectors and hoping that fixes the problem.
So in summary, the vans got us through when we couldn't, when the prices were astronomical, but now
Yeah.
the prices have come back down.
We need to,
This is the short end of the pay. You get what you
Right.
pay for.
that's right. And they've lasted their duration. I mean, we got that truck in 2018 and it's lasted. It's got 97,000 miles on it. The one we got in 2016, it's got 176,000 miles on it. It's still operating fairly good. And we're still using that ambulance on a not daily basis, but a regular basis.
So he's requesting that the 2018, that y'all declare the 2018 surplus property and we'll post it on Gov Deals for sale. That's what he's requesting.
I motion we take 2018 that he's requesting there and put it on Gov Deals for surplus.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, they had the motion and second before we vote on it. Got a picture of it? The one which one you talking about?
I do know, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay. All right, do we have any other discussion on it before we vote on it? If not, all in favor by the show of hands. Okay, that motion carries.
Thank y'all. I'll get you the information.
Yeah, I want to, yeah.
Okay. Item 2, financial report. We don't have the financial, we'll have the financial report for May at the next meeting. Tell you what, Ray, you don't have anybody coming with you, do you? We'll skip down. Ray Clemens here for our group health insurance. That's item number 12 on the agenda. Come on up, Ray, have a seat and let me I got a handout for everybody. Take one of those and pass it around. And just to refresh everybody, our group health is with Anthem Blue Cross. No longer through the ACCG, but still with Anthem Blue Cross, and it renews July 1st. So Ray's here to make a presentation for the renewal.
Well,
I got that on the screen there, so.
Right. We don't have good news we had last year. Last year we had 11% decrease in rates. We did have a very good year claim-wise, and it reflected in a 24.9% increase starting July 1. The loss ratio was 139%, which what that equates to is Anthem Blue Cross paid out approximately 40% more in claims than Dooley County paid in premium for the last claim cycle. So last year it was less than that. They reduced the rates 11%. This year we had some, and it shows on that sheet, one claim exceeded 290,000. They had 2 claims that exceeded 80,000, and then 3 claims that exceeded 25,000, in addition to your routine smaller claims this year. So this claim cycle. So what they did, they reflected all of that into a new rate starting July 1, about almost 25% increase. A couple good things about that is 99% of those claims were paid at the in-network level. One thing about Anthem Blue Cross, you do have very good access statewide to in-network providers, whether they're doctors, specialists, or hospitals.
And that benefits our employees because if they have an out-of-network provider, they have to pay more. The employee pays more the cost of the service, right?
Exactly. On the very last line, it talked about the network discount savings for the last claim cycle. Let's say if you get a $1,000 bill, it's discounted at, on average, about 54% based on the contractual agreement that Anthem has with the providers, doctors, and hospitals, which resulted in about $1.6 million savings for the employees for the last claim cycle. 82% of pharmacy claims were paid at generic level, which saves the employees money. Generic's always less, almost always less. And then over 97% of the pharmacy claims were formulary, which were covered medications by the plan here.
Ray, I don't see the figure that when I sat with you and Steve and we looked at this information. I believe our prescription drugs for our group was $440,000 just for prescription drugs, maintenance type monthly drugs.
That's right.
So that's a big chunk too before you get into these 290 type one claim. You
Right.
know, it builds that loss ratio in a hurry.
The claims for pharmacies, refills and maintenance medications, it's a big cost item across the board, most all carriers. And it averages right now for the last claim cycle about $300 per employee per month.
So basically, okay, and this is gonna be difficult to see. If we offer two plans. The basic plan that county pays 100% of the cost of basically has a $5,000 deductible. So the employee has to pay the first $5,000 of claims, and then the insurance kicks in. If they want to purchase up to the lower deductible, they just pay the increase, just the difference in the cost of that additional coverage. Currently, the basic plan premium is $828 a month. That's what the county's paying for every employee that's covered under the health insurance. Come July, that will go to $1,044. Currently, the folks that the buy up plan that has a smaller deductible, that premium is $953. So the employee's paying the difference in $828 and $953. So they're paying what? About $125 a month. Currently, that rate would go from $953 to $1,163. So almost, yeah,
Similar for starting in July.
Yeah.
Because both of them were increased.
Mr. Chairman, just for a point of reference, in the city of Leesburg, where we have a pool of about 30 employees that participate in the plan, plus some family members, not many, but because it's so expensive, it costs the city for vision, dental, and this coverage, and it is a 90-10 plan, which are rare, but it's $1,500 a month per employee, which is a third more than what you're paying. And that's through the city's pool.
GMA.
Well, bottom line too, Steve, if you mentioned it, is, we had about 112,000, that it went down last year on our group. So now it's going back about 256,000 the other way. So, it's catching back up because of the claim history.
Right. I'm sitting there looking at the first one, on the other page, and the last one. That was confusing. You know, I just think.
We were very fortunate last year.
Yeah, it went up 24.9%, but then on that last line, it said, you know, saving that, you know.
that savings there, go explain that. That's the savings that employees realized.
On the claim.
In that one.
The total claims paid for last year were well over $2 million. Total claims that was submitted to Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, because the providers have a contractual agreement to accept a lesser fee say you have a service and it's $1,000. Blue Cross has contracted with that doctor to accept $600 of that particular procedure. So that discount, contractual discount, because they're an in-network provider, they agree to that, has saved the employees at Dooley County over the last claim cycle $1.6 million. Because all those claims for all the employees for that 12-month period is discounted at a lower fee schedule, all those procedures, and resulted in that savings for the employees.
A lot of times out of network, you'll see it paid at about 60% of the bill, right?
In network, about 60%, right? If it's, let's say if it's out of network,
If it's out,
network, then
you don't get the discount.
That's right.
And
You
it's
pay
on
full
you.
price.
You know, the employee's picking up about 40% of what they charge him. 'Cause
Exactly.
There is no discount.
that's right.
Yeah, so that's why it's so valuable to have a carrier that's in network in your geographical area that, you know.
In the third line there, over 99% of the claims that was processed in that claim cycle were processed in network,
Right.
which is a big item. Other carriers can't claim that, and good carriers. And we looked at rates with all of those carriers, but they can't match that as far as access to care statewide.
You say can't match it, I mean, is it that, it's that much different, or you say statewide? What about in this area?
This statewide, this area also, you take United Healthcare or Cigna, Aetna, good carriers, they might have 94, 95%, 96% of that, where Anthem Blue Cross, it really works on their network providers to keep them in network and expand their network providers.
And you contacted United Healthcare and all these other folks and asked for a proposal.
We got replies back from each one. And the next closest rate to the renewal rate was over 11% higher of all the carriers we shopped.
Over 11% of this renewal?
Right.
Higher?
Higher.
I know you don't have a crystal ball, and this is where we're set with what your research has been and what the presentation is. But I was speaking with Harley Lawson on something completely unrelated. And Harley sells insurance to individuals, not necessarily groups, and not in reference to Dooley County at all. I was just talking about a family member situation. And he said, if you don't have to change right now and can live with it, it'll be okay. But he thought that with the administration, there's been some promise of some legislation that will change some things. Again, that's political talk, but have you heard anything along those lines?
We get emails from time to time that talked about negotiations, reducing prescription costs. That's one of the big cost items. And if that can pass through and go into law, that'll push these prescription prices down, which will directly affect rates going forward.
So that could be a macro thing. That's a lot of ifs to happen, but we could realize that possibly next year if Congress acts and there's an industry acceptance of that.
Well, we don't want to lose sight here at the table either. We pay 100% of the employees coverage,
right,
which is unheard of in most parts of the state, with the county government.
Especially a county this size.
Right.
Right. Any other questions that you might have?
Is this through, does ACCG offer this plan? Did we shop to them on this, or it doesn't?
I submitted a request to ACCG, and they parted ways with Anthem last year, and we went directly with Anthem. They had better rates, and they rewarded a 11% decrease for last year. So we stayed where we were. And ACCG has actually got a level funded Anthem plan. Level funded Aetna plan that they are utilizing. statewide. I'm not sure how many people they've enrolled, or recruit statewide. But they did not have anything any better, because it's tougher when you have a large loss ratio to go to another carrier and find a better rate, because it's difficult. It's like you had, let's say you have speeding tickets and so forth, and try to go to another carrier for car insurance. It's kind of difficult to do that.
Property insurance with a claim system.
Right.
Same thing.
That's right.
It's all about trying to make money.
Well, that's what I was saying.
And
Y'all insurance guys. But you know, that 24.9%, you know, I understand to a certain degree disgusting, but it did like it making the employees that had claims or whatever, they got to suffer with the baby.
only if they buy up, because we paying the bad for them.
Yeah, but yeah,
Here's one way to look at it, Mr. Chairman. I didn't do the math exactly, but it's 1,000 and some change, so it's 24,000, $12,000 a year per employee. Is that right, Mr. Casey?
I didn't, I just did it monthly on 99 people.
Okay. So if you did it, if it's 12,000 and you did it on an hourly rate at 40 hours, roughly that's $6 an hour you're paying for insurance. So you can add $6 an hour to the base salary as just one benefit, not leave time and all the other things you do.
Hard to see that though, if you've never experienced that big claim.
Right. And that doesn't mean anything when you've been used to having insurance, but when you have to pay it out of your pocket at some point, as self-employed people do, or people who retire early or whatever, you do realize what a gift it is.
Right.
But it's not one, it doesn't sell that way. You know, it's a good thing that it does for the community.
It is what it is.
Wishing for a good year.
That's right. Exactly.
Right.
Go back to that, the direction of the levy the previous year.
Right.
You're gonna get it back.
And the good thing is, you're not changing anything, so the employees not adjusted to any changes with their pharmacy and their meds and their co-insurance, and you can go in there to try to tweak things, but it'd be mass confusion for your employees, and you just don't need to do that. You just need to carry on and hope for a better year.
Hope for a better year. Right.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the Anthem Blue Cross proposal.
Second motion.
There's been motion and second. Do we have any other discussion on it before we put it in the law? If not, all in favor by the show of hands? Okay, that motion carries.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Ron.
Do better next year now.
We'll certainly try. Y'all have a good rest of your day.
All right, let's get back to the first here. Oh. Item number 3, we're still seeking applicants for 3 positions at the Public Works Department. Do we have any recommendations?
Yes, we have a recommendation.
Yes,
So
we'll-
we need to-
We'll need an executive session at the end of the meeting to make a recommendation on that.
Cause right now, Steve, we don't have but one more we want to do.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And it's potentially getting a year.
Say that again, Linda?
It's potentially getting a year. He got some more upcoming, but we'll talk about it.
All right, item number 4 on the Chris Dooley Joint Development Authority. There's 3 terms that are expiring at the end of this month. Scotty Mashburn, Bay McGowan, and Leroy Schuman. Scotty Mashburn has expressed a desire to continue to serve another term if y'all so choose. Bay McGowan expressed a desire to serve another term if y'all choose. Schuman does not wish to serve another term, so. The floor is open.
I'd like to see a couple of commissioners serve on that joint development, Chris County, I think all of their county commissioners serve on that joint development authority.
Anybody want to volunteer? You said more than one, two?
I'd like to fill 2 seats from whoever would like to.
Okay, that's between y'all two, because I know I can't attend.
I mean, I will, but if the chairman, like their chairman, I mean, all their members are in the room on those meetings.
Yeah, they serve on that board just like they do Chris Byer.
Yeah.
The Fire Commission.
I will do it, but if y'all, chairman, like chairman.
That's it.
You said, what did you say?
I said, I serve on
You will?
Yeah.
So why all 4 of y'all just do it then?
We only got 3 terms that's expiring right now.
Scotty needs to stay.
So,
And
then there's some other terms expire. If y'all want to add commissioners at that time, you could add some more commissioners. But right now,
You only have one
I
slot.
only have one.
We got 2 slots now.
well, there's 3 slots available. Three terms are expiring in this month. Scotty, Babe, and Mr. Shue.
I think Scotty needs to stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
then that
think
leaves
we can
2
fill-
slots available.
We fill the other 2 if Jenny wants to serve.
well,
You and David, sir.
Hmm?
You and David, chairman.
so what I hear, Mr. Chairman, is that somebody needs to make a motion to appoint Scotty Mashburn to an additional term, to appoint David Mixon and David Barron to the other 2 terms, and then put that for discussion.
Jim, you didn't want to. Okay, well, I make that motion. We appoint Scotty and then appoint Mr. Mixon and Mr. Cason, Mr. Barron, to that board.
I second.
So that throws Babe McGowan out.
Even he want to come back.
Yeah,
and
that
serve,
was gonna
that-
be, I sort of hate.
That's gonna be discussed.
When do the next ones come up?
One of y'all just go.
2 years, 27.
now. So if he wanna volunteer, it's
Would it take? Yeah, it takes some
I let that
changes.
go.
to
Then
add
when the
more.
next one come up, which probably ain't gonna be long, then I jump on. I hate that. I'm like you said,
Okay, you
but I know that's supposed to be in the discussion part of the motion.
Right, we're in the discussion
Okay,
now.
yeah,
want me to
okay.
rescind my motion and change my
Yeah,
motion?
and change it to
Okay.
and let that.
All right, I would make a motion that we reappoint Scotty and appoint Mr. Mixon and Mr. Shue in place on that.
and do Babe,
And and Mr. McCall Gowan,
yeah.
he stayed too. We appoint him too, him and Scotty.
Mhm.
I second that motion.
Okay, it has been motion and second. Do we have any further discussion on it? See, you can before we do it. When the other seat coming up?
27.
Bob Jeters is up in
Oh, okay, I
June
didn't see it.
27, and Mac Jordan is up in 27.
God,
2 years.
dog, I'm too good one right there too. Yeah, dog. Okay. We'll come back and review this after the motion. When that time that comes. Okay, all in favor by the show of hands? Yeah, dog.
Okay, next item. We have started the process of working on next year's budget. I think we may have gotten all the budget worksheets in from department heads. I hope to have some preliminary stuff at the next meeting for y'all. The next item, the River Road Drainage Project. That's where we had to replace a rotten pipe, cross drain pipe under the paved road. The contractor has removed the pipe, installed the 2 new pipe. The road is back open to traffic. However, the pavement right now, where they had to cut the pavement, it's just gravel right now. We're working on trying to get a proposal from Reed's Construction while they're in the county paving some of our LMIG projects to get them to go down there and put asphalt over that patch. But once we get that done, that project will be completely finished, and I'll be able to give you the total cost that we spent on it, but we're gonna save a considerable amount of money, I think, in the long run, the way we wind up doing it. But I hope to have those at the next meeting as well.
I'm glad we got it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't
right.
get your drones working today?
I haven't been back down there since they finished it. I've got drones up the first week of work, but I just haven't made it back down there. So I was really waiting until it got finished and then be able to show you the whole process at one time.
I'll say, I thought they were gonna strain Eugene up.
He can handle it.
Boy, boy, they got the hammer on me. Yeah.
Item number 10, tiny houses. I don't know anything about this. It's something Glenn was gonna talk to y'all about today, but he's not here, so that'll be bumped to the next meeting. That seems to be a trend in the state, is tiny houses.
We're talking about tiny houses or other buildings that would be called tiny houses.
I tell you,
Home Depot has one now, you get a 2-story.
Moving right along. Item number 8, Planning Commission has several recommendations to the board. And, oh, you got your copy there. And I handed these notebooks out, the work session we had. There's a cryptocurrency data mining ordinance in there for y'all's consideration, an outdoor recreational ordinance in there for your consideration, an updated list of definitions for our zoning ordinance, and then a new section for the zoning ordinance for large-scale animal production and feedlot section. So how do y'all wish to proceed with this? I would suggest at some point in time, there be a joint work session between the Board of Commissioners and the Planning Commission to talk about this. The Planning Commission has put a lot of effort and time into this.
Good job.
So I think,
I'd like to hear from you.
I think we need to hear from them and go from there. So
We need questions and concerns, some stuff in there before that.
that's my question. Do y'all need time to review it before you meet with them?
That would be the thing to do.
That's what I'm,
Because you have to bring Glenn and ask him, or the whole, I don't know how long going through everything would take.
Well, I think one thing is some of it's foreign to us. They've spent more time, just like with the crypto, I'm sure. But the one that's gonna really touch us, that I believe that, is outdoor recreation ordinance. And, we've got to do a due diligence there, because that's gonna require some changes in how we do business in the county.
and I think that along the lines of how recreational vehicle RVs are treated,
That's right.
which seems to be a,
Now, the large scale animal, nothing really jumped out at me there.
Whatever happened to the outdoor?
So you need to be careful that you don't close one door and open another one, that you don't, if you're trying to address a particular concern for the community. So you need to look at them together.
My thing with the outdoor recreation in reading is it didn't define in the beginning that we were talking about an RV park. So then and then that could be on any piece of private lot or land, but then in it, it starts breaking down parts, and then it starts having, and I don't know how we work with the health department, but it threw some stuff on the health department that they get to approve, like water and sewage systems. But then after that, we say they approve it, but then we go in, we list off everything it's got to have. So it was, I didn't totally understand if we were just talking about RV parks or if we were talking about like me having an RV on a lot I own
Right.
at the river.
Right, and I can't speak to that level of detail, but I can speak to the fact that if you have water that's shared amongst customers, whether they're paying customers or not, that can be regulated by the health department, because it's not just your well, you're now supplying water to someone else. Same thing if you're sharing a septic, there's certain rules on that. So that's where they have state law preemption to do it. But as far as how you hook up to those, they have to work together. And so just because the health department says you can share one, you still have to hook up to it correctly, and it has to be allowed in that by your zoning. So,
All right, what about, I'm just trying, our next meeting, ordinarily it would be 2 weeks from today, which would be June the 19th, but that's Juneteenth holiday. So our next meeting is actually going to be Wednesday, June the 18th. Should be a fairly short agenda. Would you like to try to maybe have a brief work session with just Glenn at the end of that meeting to sort of hit the highlights and then come up with a plan of how to go forward from there?
Just our vague areas of what we want.
Yeah, because that'd give y'all time to sort of read through it and get a little bit familiar with it, meet with him, and then come up with a plan to meet with the planning commission in further detail. Does that sound like a plan?
We're meeting at what time?
9 o'clock, 18th.
On Wednesday.
That sounds good to me. But I like to go. I like to. I saw like to know.
Okay, all right.
You know about what's going on.
We'll plan on that.
Interpretation of it.
Moving along. Item number 9, ACCG Legislative Forum. This is what they used to call their district meetings. This is the meeting that last year we went over to out in the sticks somewhere to that brewery. They've scheduled this time. The closest one to us is scheduled for, the closest one for us is actually on June the 18th in Dodge County at Eastman. But that's when we're going to have our next county commissioners meeting. So then the next closest one would be Moultrie that Tuesday before our meeting on the 18th. And I didn't know if any of y'all have a desire to attend that legislative forum. It start at 10 o'clock and go through lunch.
I'm out of town. I can't make that one. That's on what day of the week?
That's a Tuesday, because we'll be meeting on Wednesday the 18th.
Can we go to another, not everybody, but like.
You can attend any one you want to.
And they're strongly encouraging.
Oh, yeah, we need representation there. I gotta look at that 17th. I got a mail.
Must be
Well,
nice.
let Linda know if anybody wants to attend any of those. Item number 10, scrap tire program. Public Works Department had the scrap tire program earlier. Chris Flynn gave me a brief update of them. We did it for 2 weeks. They took in a total of 120 tons of scrap tires. I don't know. It was considerably less than what they took in the year before. And we were eligible for a $73,000 grant from the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. The grant is to pay for the cost to have the tires disposed of. You can't just go bury them in the dirt in the landfill like you used to, because they'll work their way up out of the ground. So based on Chris's estimation, to dispose of that 120 tons should cost about $34,000. So we're not gonna quite use half the grant money. But that, to me, that's a good thing.
Oh, well,
And I take it as a good sign that we didn't have near as many tires. That means we did a good job last year getting all the stockpiles, making progress. So anyway, I just want to share
Should it
that.
carry over?
We have the rest of the money.
We lose it.
They'll only pay us what we spend to dispose of the tires. So,
We could do it again in a few months and use the rest of the money.
but we can apply for another one next year. And I think they seem to be approval of the way we do it, and they pretty much say, hey, y'all apply next year, you'll get another grant next year.
I see it working.
They see it working.
Well, I missed a few. I thought I had them all. I got looking around there, man, I missed about 10 times. I carried a trailer over there.
Okay, item number 11, the county's auto, property, heavy equipment, and liability insurance also renews July 1. And let's see if I can reduce this down a little bit. And this is through ACCG. And they break down the different types of coverage: general liability, law enforcement liability, public officials liability, automobile physical damage, property, boiler and machinery, crime, which I'm not sure exactly what kind of coverage that is, privacy or security liability, which is cyber insurance. And then they call a total contribution, and then you could potentially have some credits, but this was our first full year. The current year we're in was our first full year with ACCG. We were with them a few months prior to that. Our previous coverage renewed in October, so we were October through June initially, but our current year is the first full year. So Lombard, we paid $275,000 for that insurance in the year we're in now. Short version, for next year, it's going to cost us $286,000.
We'll point out that safety credit there, $15,063. That don't just happen. It takes an effort, and we've put that in place, and it takes paperwork and different stuff being done to earn that. So, the increase, could have been
It could have been
2026.
Yeah, right.
231.
And unfortunately, a lot of the major insurance carriers for the last couple of years have been getting out of the business of insuring governmental agencies. So we don't have another option at this point in time.
Hopefully this, some of this law in Georgia is going to help that.
That's not a bad increase based off what my insurance is telling me.
So need a motion to approve renewing that coverage.
I'll offer the motion to renew the ACCG renewal of 286,206
That's it.
for the fiscal year.
There has been motion and second. Do we have any other discussion on it before we vote on it? If not, all in favor by the show of hands.
And unfortunately, this premium has to be paid in full before July 1. The health insurance, we pay monthly payments on that, but anyway.
Steve, one question though that comes to mind when I see that dividend credit, when you point out the dividend we've been receiving has been on the
On the workers' compensation.
Workers' compensation that we've been able to receive a pretty good rate credit on that every year because of our experience.
And the work comp, it's based on a calendar year, so it renews every January. So we'll have a few months before we get that renewal. Okay, we've already done the group health insurance. Oops. Executive session, we'll have an executive session at the end of the meeting. Abandoned Mobile Home Act. Several years ago, let me see, I don't know exactly when. Back in 2019, the Georgia General Assembly had passed some new legislation called the Abandoned Mobile Home Act. Basically, it was to help what they considered that it got to be a problem where you own a piece of property and you let me put a mobile home on your property, whether I paid you real or not, doesn't matter. You let me put that mobile home on there, and if for whatever reason I walk away and leave that mobile home there, you're stuck with somebody else's mobile home. How could you get rid of it? And there was a lot. So the state, in their effort to provide you in that situation, really they passed this Mobile Home Act, which requires the local government to have an official when somebody inquires, that property owner inquires, hey, how do I get rid of this abandoned mobile home on my property? They go to the government official that's been designated to do that. He has to go out there and, in real simple terms, go out there, visit the site, and determine, is that mobile home livable or not? Because that depends on what the landowner's options are. And back in 2019, some of y'all tagged Steve and said, Steve's our government official for abandoned mobile homes. I've had 4 so far since 2019. But all I have to do is I have to go out there to the site and determine, is it livable or not? In all 4 cases ain't none of them been livable. So then all I do then is you just post a notice in a conspicuous spot, basically stating, that mobile home has been determined. The law calls it derelict. It means it's not livable.
Yeah. Not usable.
Then, and I'll send a copy of that notice to whoever owns the property. Then they have the right, after 30 days, I believe, then they can go to the magistrate's court and start the process to get the right to dispose of that mobile home. But once the government official goes, visits it, and post it, I'm out of the picture. I'm no longer involved. That's between the landowner and that. The most recent one, I went over to the tax assessor office talking about this with Derek, our chief appraiser, about a status. And he said, well, you county administrator ought not really be the one doing that. He said, seemed like either the building inspector or maybe us or the tax assessor's office may do it. I said, are you volunteering to do it? He said, yeah, we'll do it. So I would like to recommend that Derek Pinkerton be named the government official for Abandoned Mobile Home Act.
Derek or the tax assessor?
The tax assessor's office, maybe just designate the tax assessor's office.
What happens if it is livable? If you determine it's livable?
The landowners can still go to the magistrate's court, but it's a different process. I think that way they gotta try to notify potential lien holders and all kinds of stuff. I don't know. The law clearly outlines the process, but I'm not an attorney and I don't give legal advice. And just the most recent one, the guy called me and wanted, well, upon investigation, he said he was the property owner. Well, it's actually air property. It's in an estate. So therefore, he's not legally the owner. So I told him I'm not authorized to go make a determination until the owner of the property starts the process. Because even if I went ahead and made a determination, as soon as he walked over to the magistrate's court and tried to file the paperwork and they asked him, are you the owner? And they find out it's their property, they're not going to do anything. So.
Is this act structured just to protect the landowner?
Well, it's designed also to protect the mobile home owner as well.
Well, I'm just thinking about what we've had in the past. Y'all remember our Truman Road project? What took place out there with abandoned mobile homes? That person owned the land and the mobile homes. Is there anything in that act to protect the public or the neighbor? This is strictly mobile home and
Right.
This is strictly abandoned mobile home
when they let them put it on
when
their
the
property.
owner of the mobile home does not own the land.
See, the other would be holding that person accountable that's running mobile home parks, and I think we've seen that in our county. Be really abused.
That would go into like the, what's that, when you used to go around taking the vehicle.
Nuisance ordinance.
Like, yeah, or the cities have the abandoned car thing. It's not, you know, if the mobile home's not tied to the property, isn't it still considered a tagged? I mean, that
Right,
would be a little bit.
There's, when you talk about mobile homes, prior to that, in the 60s, there were trailers. About every decade, they changed the term because they're changing the term for marketing purposes, but also because the laws are catching up with them to try to regulate the problems. And so the mobile home, they do have the definitions of what, now that they're called manufactured homes. But so don't get locked in on the 1980s here. This could be the 70s or whatever. But the problem is somebody puts their house, they put a place on there for grandmama to live in. Okay. Grandmama dies, niece moves in. Person who gave the authorization, they die, and then it gets transferred on down, and then nobody knows who's doing what, and then that person leaves, but they say, that's my house. Well, is it or is it not? And there was no, because they didn't always pay the taxes on it, and it was taxed separately and so forth. Some of them are taxed to the land, some are not, depending on the ownership issue. So this was an effort to try to allow landowners to clean up what was an abandoned mobile home, because it no longer fit the definition of a car or a vehicle or whatever, so they had to come up with something that would allow them to do it. But back to Mr. Cason's point, it doesn't deal with the derelict landlord that owns the property, owns the homes, and has a couple of abandoned. And basically what you have to do there is just go in and condemn it for under a nuisance or eminent domain. They had that big problem where the Walmart is across from Miller in Albany. That area back there, that was a major problem for many years because of these issues.
But that only applied. But that only applied for the county and not within the city limits.
Well, the state law could be enforced within the city, but the city would be the one doing the enforcement.
City would have to appoint their local government agent
right
to do what I'm doing for the unincorporated area. All right. So the local government agency, the act defines that as a person appointed by a local governing authority who is qualified to inspect an abandoned mobile home by demonstrating that he or she is qualified to determine if the abandoned mobile home is derelict.
How'd you get your qualification?
Yeah, y'all said I was qualified. Is how y'all.
But I'm trying to remember why we put you. Why I remember that, but I don't know why.
He expressed the fondness for the.
No,
he saw the
volunteer.
Yeah. But anyway,
he didn't volunteer.
I make a motion.
But it says a person, so I don't think we can't.
Yeah, it says a person.
We can't say the assessor's office. We're going to
The tax assessor, whoever the tax assessor is, has that position. Is what I was saying. I mean, if you
the
say
chief assessor.
the chief assessor.
Okay.
And you got
I'm
to
okay with
cover
that.
from here on.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we appoint the chief tax assessor as the local government agent for the abandoned mobile home ordinance.
And just for cover, I would have his board accept that appointment, since they actually employ him.
Second motion.
Okay, has been motion and second. Are there any other discussion on it? If not, all in favor by the show of hands. That motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 15, learned that the Georgia Department of Community Affairs recently announced their 2025 CHIP grant awards. Dooley County's application was not one of the ones that got funded. This is a list of the ones that got funded. City of Americus, City of Bainbridge, City of Boston, City of Brunswick, City of Centerville, City of Oxford, City of Statesboro, City of Tifton, and Doherty County.
Well, I'm about to have second thoughts about that. I mean, you know, about that CHIP grant being approved. And I know, do you know the reason why? Before I get talking in.
Well, they have so many requests. I mean, they only approved that many right there.
There's only one county out of the whole list.
Yeah.
But then they also, these were the local governments, and then they also approved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nonprofits.
Nonprofits is what kind of jumped out at me.
Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta Land Trust, Houston County Land Bank,
See,
and you got 3 Habitat.
Hall County?
Organization.
What's that, Gainesville, yeah?
well, sometime I wonder, it could be a personal, and you can't tell me that no work. You know, why sometimes people don't get approved of stuff. So I'm just one. I know some things that have been said in the past. So I mean, you know, I can't.
Well, look how
Approves these.
Look how much went to just Houston County. If you do Centerville at $500,000
You know,
and 1.5 million for the what is it right there? They got 2 million right there.
I truly think,
Representation.
I don't think the people that are doing
It
art,
matters.
I think they're good at some
We
things.
sit
I
home.
don't think they're good at
We
the
sit
grant.
home, they got people
well,
beating the bush.
None of none of River Valley's applications they prepared for this year or last year got approved.
2 years ago.
I don't think we got the right, the right horse.
and it's all about how you word it and write it up.
This last year was their first year ever doing that, wasn't it?
First year in several years. The years back, they've
Yeah, but I mean, in a long, the
it's
person
been
had
10 or more years since River Valley.
very little experience and
Oh yeah, the folks that used to do grant application on them are no longer with them.
I don't think they're doing too well with the CBDG.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to share that information. We already talked about the ambulances. Our here. All right, our 25 LMIG local road assistance. That's the extra LMIG we got again this year. We got Lance, our engineer, to submit our application to DOT. We've received our check from DOT for $900,000. And we have historically, and I recommend that we continue the practice of every time we get another LMIG, let's open up a separate checking account. So there's clean bookkeeping for each, because we're subject to being audited by DOT for any one of these different LMIG projects. And if we got a checking account that's got 5 LMIG projects, money in it, that could get real confusing. So I'm requesting that y'all vote to authorize a new checking account at South Georgia Banking Company for the FY25 LMIG local road assistance.
make a motion that we approve that new account.
That's it.
And it will be set up just like all our other accounts. All checks require 2 signatures, and the folks that are authorized to sign is the administrator, the clerk, the chairman, the vice chairman, and the finance director, manager outside Misty. So
5 on the account, 2 have to sign.
just 2 require 2 signatures, 2 of those 5.
And notice the difference between, we refer to this as LRA, local road assistance, as part of LMIG. The difference in this amount in our regular LMIG amount, when it's like 766,000,
Something like that.
and this has no match.
Yeah, but our regular LMIG, we have to provide a 10% match to get all that money. This LRA money does not require a local match.
So what can we, use that for?
Well, we've already obligated it to
It's gone.
resurface Pleasant Valley Road in your district
Yeah, I'm trying to get some more.
and Farm Road.
Well, you know, I don't never stop trying.
Give you E for effort, that's for sure.
If there's any left over,
He thought
we'll do
this
some
was
more
you
gravel.
money.
Yeah, okay. Oh, boy. Okay. We have had a discussion on it. So, we had a motion. All in favor by the show of hands? We got a motion.
Let me get signatures while y'all were
Has
home.
anybody been on Liberty Church?
I have
Looks
not
good,
yet.
though.
I've heard.
Oh, man.
It looks good,
Talking
yeah.
about
They
good
said it
comments.
went wider.
Yeah, it looks good.
I
It
saw
look- it
about 4
appears
or 5
wider.
cars
Yeah, we did.
back to back.
Somebody
going
said
on.
that. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, I hope they didn't mess that up.
I hope they'll get that
No, it
dirt
looks
pulled
good.
to it before.
I see
People
about 4 or
start
5
running.
Yeah,
cars.
running
and
off.
trying to
Yeah.
cut all off. Oh, man, they must be finished with the road.
I see on 41 black.
Yeah, like,
Coming out.
That what made me look that
Yeah.
way.
it looks good. I've been
They
there a
were
couple
quick. I
times.
didn't know they'd be on that quick.
They did that fast, man.
But then how much we got paving left in the county?
All right. That was our sole project initially for the 25 regular LMIG. But we had some money left over, so we're adding in Pinehurst that little section of West Railroad Street, finish it.
This goes straight.
And doing, there'll be still a little bit of money left over to go to help with what's left over, the regular 25, and this LRA money is what's gonna be used to do Pleasant Valley Road and Farm Road. And we initially thought to do that, we would also have to use some of our next year's LMIG money, which I'll approve. But once Lance did, all right, the way the paving bids now, when you used to, like Liberty Road project, we said, all right, we got 5 miles of resurfacing, give us your bid. The contractors would bid, I bid a dollar amount, lump sum dollar amount. They don't do that no more. They go in and say, all right, we're gonna pay this much per ton of asphalt, this much per ton of liquid tack or whatever. They identify the different materials you're gonna be needing. And they said, here's our bid for unit price. So we don't know, and then our engineer estimates how many tons that they should use, but it never turns out to be an exact amount. But it's complicated.
Yeah.
But let me get signature while I'm getting sidetracked here. Chairman, I need your signature. But we got some exceptionally good bids this year from Reeves Construction. And evidently they are not overloaded with work, so they are probably going to be starting on these next projects within the next 2 weeks. They could very well be through by the end of July. All right. Got that. That was number 17. Okay, let's put that back up. Okay, number 18, the West Road Drainage Project. And just to refresh everybody's memory, if you don't know, this is the city of Lilly. If you're going out West Road, cross over 230. So it's big drainage, big pipe under the road there. The pipe actually under the road is in good shape, but on each end it's rotted off. And that's the one that we need to cut off the bad section on each end, put some additional pipe there and build the shoulder back up. And y'all have seen, we had a video of that if y'all want me to try to pull that up, if I can. Let's go see that. Danny's videos. Several months old, but looking for something that says West Road. Oh, there we go. That's one end of the, I'm standing on the edge of the road looking down. That's the bad section that needs to be replaced so that shoulder can be built back up on that side. Bear with me, I wasn't here. This was one of my first drone videos, so I got myself dizzy. Let's go on around to the other side. It's still the same side, I believe. Yep, that's still the same side. That's still that same side. So then going over to the other side.
You take a picture of yourself.
That's
Oxtails.
But anyway, that's the project. But what our engineers recommending is due to the shortage of labor that we have at the road department is maybe getting a local contractor to do this work for us like we did for the River Road project. And we've gotten a proposal from 2 local contractors, Riggs and Sons Construction. They're the ones that did the work on River Road, which our engineer is very pleased, and I've been very pleased with how quick they got on it and got it taken care of. Then we also got another contractor in the county, Bam Moore. It was by Turkey Creek Excavation. Got him to look at it, and for them to do all the labor, the county's going to buy the pipe. Don't think we're going to need any, in this situation, not going to need any gravel to put on the pipe. We think we can get by with just clay dirt and not have to put gravel on it like we did down at River Road. And then they'll do the labor. Griggs was $22,000, Turkey Creek's $24,000, but then for the dirt that's going to be required, they gave a per load based price. Well, then you get into how many loads is it going to take? They both said they think no more than 50 loads, but if you'll notice, they give a different price on a per load basis. So if you take what they bid and assume it's going to be 50 loads of clay and then 10 loads of topsoil, but you want to put topsoil back on the very top to hopefully get grass to grow. Long story short, it looks like Griggs would be $38,000. Turkey Creek would be $35,000 if it was 50 loads of dirt. All right, my question is, would y'all entertain hiring this done, or we want to wait till Rodney can work it into his schedule?
How are we on the money that the first project came out of, the rock came out of?
That all came out of our 2024 LRA money.
Right.
And we're gonna have a significant saving I would expect us to say on the River Road project, we're gonna save at least $100,000 on that.
That already covered.
Wait, what we thought we were gonna spend or what they, Reeves had,
What we initially, what it would have cost if we'd have hired it done initially.
Right.
With Griffin had done it.
right.
And then the West Road, we also got a proposal from Griffin on the West Road, and we're gonna come significantly under the budget on that one by doing it ourselves, or either hiring this out.
We threw all the balance into the rock.
And then,
Is that right?
yes, the balance of that was in the rock, which we've already dented the rock, but I wanted to wait and get these projects out of the way so we knew how much money we could spend on the rock.
I don't have no problem with that. See, you know, when you're talking about hauling dirt, you don't know what side truck they got. See,
Well, those are gonna be 10-wheeler trucks. They're gonna be, I think, 12 cubic yard trucks.
Have Turkey Creek, they don't do some work for us.
No, so that's gonna be the first time.
And everybody was talking about how good they did down there.
I agree with you. The only thing, I'd like to share the wealth and see if Turkey Creek do it on this project with Lance. Lance is gonna be on this, and see if we can't use them in the, they're both county residents.
And
Give him a shot and see if he does good work. And
they actually, on some projects, they do joint work projects together. And when Ronnie approached me, he said, I ain't trying to start no bidding war. He said, I'm just trying, both of y'all are in the county, and we want to give, both of you an opportunity. And you could argue the River Road was sort of right down there next to the Griggs' home. The West Road is going to be real close to Bam Moore's, or at least I don't know where Bam lives, but close to where Toby Moore lives, his daddy. So.
there's gonna be a lot of projects.
This
This is
costs all that dirt, and it would cost us.
We'll come out cheaper.
I mean, you'd be surprised what it would cost us to have a person hauling diesel. I'd like to continue to do these type jobs and hire them out, with our workload, our employee situation, because when we do these projects, we know what happens. You have to pull folks off other stuff.
Yeah.
And we only got one tractor mowing right now.
You know what I'm saying?
We can't be
I agree
pulling
with you. Do what you know. I know.
Yeah,
But if he local, give him a chance.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't stay in the county, I'm a county person. But I just paid $200 and some a load. I mean, I looked at that 180 there. I sort of couldn't believe he was hauling dirt for $180. A truckload. Man, that's about a 3 year ago price.
Well, evidently it's his dirt.
He got
He ain't buying it.
That evidently is close. That is close by to that project.
Yeah. But David made a suggestion. I guess that's what you want to try. Turkey Creek.
That's what. Yeah, I would.
I'd like to.
I mean, this is gonna try.
We'll know.
Yeah. Right. We'll know next time.
That's the only way you'll find out.
I make a motion that we let Turkey Creek Excavation do the West Road project.
I'll second that.
Ray, I can get you some out of the deal.
Moving right along.
If it falls in,
Don't be the first. Right up the hill.
Let dirt fall off the truck.
I ain't messing with none of them. Are there any other discussion on it? If not, all in favor by the show of hands. That motion carries.
I asked to put this on the agenda at the last meeting, so it's on there. What discussion do y'all have?
I guess we're still looking into it, right? About, we're retire then and come back to work, that's what we're talking about, right?
I'm assuming that was true.
Yeah. You just put it back on there again. Let's table for a second.
Yeah.
Again.
It might not be a bad.
When do y'all want it to come back up? You're gonna table it,
When?
and then you'll give it a month or so?
Yes.
Well, now, well, okay. Now,
Go ahead.
I mean, it can be
I'm
less.
just on something else. I'm
Yeah,
gonna talk about it a little bit.
If you're gonna table it, you need to say sort of when it's gonna come back
Okay.
up,
Okay.
if it's gonna come back up down the road, so.
The next meeting, we got that work session.
Right. So put it in one of the July meetings.
I like to get more information on, the pros and the cons, the good, bad,
Okay. Had some updates from the DOT on the bridge on Bowen Road at Sandy Mount Creek. It just reminds y'all where that is. You're in Vine and you're going out Highway 27 toward Hawkinsville. As soon as you cross over I-75, the first paved road there to the left is Bowen Road. And that's where there's a bridge right there that's DOT has identified that needs to be replaced. And so now they had tried to go through one of their fast track programs, and I think due to some sort of, was it archaeological or some archaeological that throw the kink in going through the fast track. So now they're trying to go through another program, and they've got a concept team meeting online scheduled for June the 25th at 10 a.m. So I'll sit in on that meeting. And the purpose of that meeting is to discuss the need and purpose of the bridge replacement, the logical termini, potential environmental and utility impacts, review alternatives, and determine the anticipated public involvement.
What's a termini?
I'm assuming where the project would begin and where the project would end.
Plural for terminus.
For what?
Plural for terminus, for terminal. I don't know. I think the start and finish.
Start and finish is what I'm thinking about. So.
Well, to kind of give you history.
Never heard of it before. It's
that
Latin
bridge-
to me.
That bridge was gonna be replaced, the same year that,
The one on Shiloh Road.
Shallow Road was replaced. But they ran in, when they did their study out there, they ran into this thing, that creek, Sandy Mount Creek, had a high presence of Creek Indians supposedly. So
That's why I had the name.
they must have found some artifacts or something out there. I don't think it was a three-legged frog or something that's extinct, going extinct. I think it was an archaeological studies.
All right, Mr.
Is
Chairman.
anything
And
about
it's gonna
Heath?
require more studies, so it kicked it out of that fast track.
You're talking about this one right here.
This, so now they're coming back to it with a regular program.
Is
Which is
anything about
good.
Heath Road, yeah.
I haven't heard anything, but Rodney did send me some pictures. Evidently, there's been some surveyors out there doing some survey work and some stakes out there. So
Okay.
something's
I
going
heard somebody
on.
was out there looking.
Something's going on, but I've not had any contact.
On this bridge.
No, that on Heath Road.
Heath Road.
That's in another project. So, all right, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have other than an executive session for personnel issue and a potential update on litigation. I don't know that we got it.
Oh, I make a motion, we go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue. and potential
I'll let you know.
litigation.
That's it.
Yeah, the motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands. That motion carries. There, I might need to let you.
This conference will now be recorded.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of executive session as read in executive session.
That's it.
Okay, they have the motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands. All right.
Did you write the man name down, Mr.
Now
Casey?
we got the
David
got the vote on that.
Baha.
He's got the name.
Who? You got the name?
You may.
David Blaha.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Blaha.
Is there a motion to offer employment to David Blaha for the position of equipment operator / roadside mowing?
I'll I'll make that motion.
That's it.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. All in favor by the show of hands.
Anything else?
Motion carries.
I have nothing else, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I got some, Mr. Chairman. No, I make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
I was trying to fall out the chair. Yeah. But I'm,
So-
at the speed